Welcome back, Braden River High School, and this is the first lesson of the entire year, which is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative numbers. And I'm telling you, this is, and I mean is the most important lesson of the entire year, because this is where students make the most mistakes with adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. This lesson is to help students visualize what they're doing when they're dealing with positive and negative numbers instead of relying so much on the calculator, okay? So what I want you to do is go ahead and draw a number line in your spiral notebook, okay? And what we're going to do is I want you to know that here is 0, okay? And so that's not working. Okay, so here is 0. And our positive numbers go to the right, okay, and our negative numbers, and this may seem very basic, but trust me when I tell you, a lot of students have told me that this lesson was very valuable for them. They thought it was very helpful. So when we add, we always go to the right, and when we subtract, we always go to the left. So, you know, I'm the teacher, okay? And to this day, when I'm adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, I always visualize in my mind the number line to help me. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to use the number line. And I'm going to do it very slowly, and then I believe you will benefit from this. So, the first number that we have is a -3. And so you always plot the first number, okay, on the number line. So there's a -3. And when we add, okay, this is going to tell you the direction that you're going in. So when you add, we go to the right. How many? 6. So we're going to start here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we landed on a +3. Okay? Let's try it again using the number line. So we're going to start at a +8. So go to a +8 and plot your +8, okay? And we're going to subtract, which means we go to the left. We're going to subtract 12. So we're going to start here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Where did we land? On a -4, and that is our answer, okay? And again, I want you to think of starting with a negative and subtracting more. When you start with a negative and you do more subtraction, you're going to go further to the left, which means you're going to wind up with a negative number. Plot your -2, and we're going to subtract 7 more. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we landed on a -9. Okay? That's basically, and you'll have more practice, that's basically how we use the number line to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. Now, I want to draw your attention to what I have here. We have addition, add, and we have subtraction. Subtract, 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 subtract. Okay? And each of these answers are going to be different. All right? I want to draw your attention to the 2 symbols in the middle between the 2 numbers. Okay? When you have 2 of the same symbol, you're going to circle that and put a plus. Okay? Now, I'm sorry, this should have been a -5. I'm going to correct that now. And this should have been a -5, positive, negative. Okay, now we're good. Okay, and now we have a positive and negative. We have opposite symbols. When you have opposite symbols, you're going to circle and put a negative symbol. Now, let me explain that, okay, so you don't have to just memorize it. Think of it this way. Think of this as 2 people having a conversation with each other, and they both agree. When you have a conversation with someone where you both agree, it's a very positive conversation because you both agree with each other, okay? So when you have the same symbol, you're having a conversation where both of you agree. That's a very positive conversation, which is why we put the plus symbol. Now, if you're having a conversation with someone where you have a difference of opinions, where you feel 2 totally different ways, it's not a very comfortable conversation because you don't agree. All right, you have opposite opinions, and that's a very negative conversation. It's not a very positive conversation. It's a very negative conversation. So when you have opposite opinions, it's a negative conversation. So you can go through the rest of these. These are two positive, we put the plus. These are opposite, we put a negative, okay? Here we have subtracting a positive, so that's opposite, so we put the negative. And here we have two negatives, and you would automatically think, oh, well, these are two negatives, but no, they are the same symbol, so they agree, and so we put the plus. Here's opposite symbol, put the negative. Here's the same symbol, and we put the positive. And now all you have to do is the math. And if you have a hard time, you can use the number line to help you do the math. So 3 plus 5 we know is 8. And we're going to do 3, a positive 3, minus 5. So we're starting at a positive 3, and when we subtract, we go to the left. How many? 5. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We landed on a negative 2. Okay, and then on the next one, you start out on a negative 3. All right, and then you add 5. So when we add, we go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That landed on a positive 2. Negative 3 minus 5 more. That's going to give us a negative 8. Okay. And then we're going to do all of our subtractions. So 3 minus 5 gives us a negative 2. And then 3 plus 5 is a positive 8. And then negative 3 minus 5, we had that down here. It's a negative 8. Starting off with a negative, you subtract more, you get a negative. And then a negative 3 plus 5, we get a positive 2. So what I want to talk to you about is adding or subtracting, especially subtracting large numbers, okay? So pretend you and your friend are going to hang out together, and you both decided that you wanted to go to a movie and have lunch together. So you guys go out to the movies, and your friend realizes, oh my gosh, I forgot my money, or I left my purse, or I left my wallet at home. And your friend says, I got you, don't worry about it, I'll pay for your movie. So let's say that the movie was $14, okay? And your friend, your friend said, I'll pay for your movie. Well, then that means you owe. That's what the negative symbol means. The negative symbol means that you owe your friend $14 because your friend is paying for your movie, okay? Well, after the movie's over, you guys are starving and you want to go to lunch, and you decide to go to the Cheesecake Factory, which is quite expensive, and you didn't bring your purse or your wallet, so your friend has to pay for your lunch. And your lunch at the Cheesecake Factory came to $25. So now you also owe your friend another $25. So you owe your friend $14 for the movie, and you owe your friend $25 for lunch. Well, how much in total, okay, how much money in total do you owe your friend? Well, when you start off with a negative and you're subtracting more, you owe your friend more money. Then you're going further into the negative, okay? And so all you have to do at this point is just add these numbers. So 4 plus 5 is 9, 1 plus 2 is 3. So you owe your friend a total of $39. So if you think of it in terms of money, it kind of makes it easy. So now we're going to transition into part 2 of this video, which is multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. So let me just erase this, and at any time you can always stop the video, rewind, and re-listen to it if you'd like to. Okay? Sorry. All right, so let me unfreeze. My computer went dead there for a second. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing. So I want you all to write this down. Oh, you know what? Let me do it this way. 2 negatives and then positive times negative. This is all like on the spot, on the fly, people. Okay? So, these are the rules for multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. Okay? So this is kind of similar to adding and subtracting. If you have 2 positives, if you're multiplying or dividing 2 positive numbers, a positive times a positive gives you a positive, because these are the same symbol, okay? Now, if you're multiplying 2 negatives, they're the same symbol. So a negative times a negative gives you a positive, okay? So when you're multiplying symbols that are the same symbol, okay, your answer will be positive. Now, opposite symbols, your result will be negative, okay? So if you're multiplying a positive times a negative, that gives you a negative. If you're multiplying a negative times a positive, that gives you a negative. So again, these are opposite opinions, not a very positive conversation, so your result is negative. So I'm just going to put a couple of examples on the board. So if you have a negative 3 times a positive 3, if you have a negative 3 times a negative 3, if you have a positive 3 times a negative 3, or if you have a positive 3 times a positive 3. Okay, so these are 4 different examples. This is a negative times a negative times a negative, a positive times a negative, and a positive times a positive. So guess what? These are opposite symbols, so your answer will be negative. Okay? These are the same symbol. Even though they're both negative, they're the same symbol. So a negative times a negative gives you a positive. These are opposite symbols, okay? So the answer is going to be negative. A positive times a negative is negative. And then a positive, these are the same symbols, so a positive times a positive is a positive, okay? So the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I don't want students to, the other day a student asked me, well, how can I use the calculator to determine whether the answer is positive or negative? And I said, well, the reason why I'm going to teach this lesson is 100% because I don't want you to rely on the calculator to know whether your result will be positive or negative. I want you to know these simple rules so that it will save you from having to rely on the calculator so much. And that is our first lesson.
Good.